Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, the United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Okay, guys, we're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
Rules?
There are no rules.
What rules?
This is a revolution, damn it!
You'll hear things you've never heard before.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and what can we tell you? We are the Other Alliance Guys, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information about the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, various independents around the world. My name is Tim. I'm joined by these two gentlemen. This is Jeremy. Bang, bang! What's going on, buddy?
Fuck, I can't call it.
And our mutual brother in pod, Mr. Dave Scooby. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Had a good weekend and just hoping there's no more storms.
Pretty bad down your way in the Baltimore area?
I mean, off and on weather-wise, but I mean, it's spring. Spring hasn't sprung fully yet, and I'm just ready to be done with the April showers. It's May now. We can forget the rain.
Yeah, I hear you. How's things out in the Colorado area, Mr. Jeremy?
Well, looking out at the sky to the east, we've got sunshine, but a lot of clouds. But right overhead, we're experiencing some pretty gray skies out there, Tim.
Yeah.
Back to you for sports.
This afternoon, there were sports. Leafs won the Battle of Ontario against Ottawa, but I don't honestly watch hockey, and I don't know. There you go. Devin's here. How you doing, my friend? Are you? I think that's a yell.
Yo.
Hey, oh, of course. Taking a little survey.
Come on, man.
Taking a little survey. Anybody here to see the Other Alliance guys? Willie Bowen. Willie dropped this one earlier. Tyrus just landed an acting job, guys. He's going to get the part playing Moby Dick in the movie. Oh, my goodness. Will Tyrus never be let go, Willie? Will you never let him be free?
No. As
Not
long as
happen.
Tyrus keeps his death grip on the food market, he's getting what's coming to him.
Is he still on TV? I don't watch television much other than I certainly don't watch Fox News, so I have no idea.
Yeah. They say the camera adds 100 pounds or something like that. I don't know.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Well, we've seen him live. He was as big as I
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
If anything, TV kind of slims him down. Maybe it gives the appearance that he might be a little smaller.
That could be. What's happening to Wrecking Ball Legursky right now? Is that guy slimming down and trimming up?
Slimming down and getting into shape.
Hey, Bradley did.
Yeah. They're breaking up right now, aren't they? Isn't that the deal over in Power?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I read. Haven't watched Power in a little bit, but we will be watching some NWA Power adjacent programming, reviewing that today.
Yeah.
Yep. We go talk about NWA-JCE-SE Southeast, episode 62. We'll look at that. Joe Cazana Promotions.
Interesting show.
Yeah,
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. We'll do a little UWN Championship Wrestling results with our friend Jeremy. Championship Wrestling from Jeremy. And then Dave with I Respect You, Booker Man, will tell us how you ought to book, how he's going to book Kenzie. And I almost said Natalya, then I wrote, I know, that's Nattie Neidhart now.
Yep.
Man, what a hell of a promo. We'll talk about it. on that bit, but what a promo that was.
She's a Nattie. Yep.
Yeah. But you know what? Let's talk about something Dave brought up earlier in the week, if I could find the picture. But that was the NWA World Heavyweight title defense of our champion, your champion, everyone's champion, the world's heavyweight champion, Thom Latimer, defending that title at Maple Leaf Pro back on the first night, March 14th, of MLP Mayhem in Windsor, just across the border from our friend Willie Bowen, against Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin.
Yep.
Yeah. And that match is available on the MLP YouTube channel. Hey, you brought it up. What did you think of this match overall? Well, the whole product.
I thought it was a good match, and I mean they played into the history of Canadians that have held the NWA title. Also, what the title actually means. Plus, both of the guys played their part. That both of them, I mean, I'm not going to say Thom is a good guy. Thom is one of these guys that he's almost like a Stone Cold Steve Austin. He just doesn't give a shit. If you like him, cool. If you don't, that's cool. But Bishop, he ended up taking upon himself when they started cheering for him that he's not going to be the face, act like a face, but he's going to be the good guy in the match.
Right. Yeah.
And in watching the match, by any means necessary, that's how Thom retained the title.
Right.
You have to do what you have to do. And I mean, there's not a lot of guys that Thom, when he gets in the ring, that he's the smaller of the two. He's either above or almost equal with it. But I mean, Dyer's got what, 30-some pounds on him, and like
5 inches of height,
and like 5 inches. So it's like that's quite an advantage. But the thing is, I mean, Thom did a very good job in this match, and I mean, he did what he needed to do to keep the 10 pounds of gold. And I mean, Bishop played his role very well, and I'd love to see them play it back, but in an NWA ring.
Yep.
That you've got Rhino coming up at Crockett Cup. Okay, cool. Well, who has connections with Rhino? Scott D'Amore.
Yep.
And I mean, it's one of these things that I hate to say that the NWA is dropping the ball, but Maple Leaf Pro did 10 times, if not 20 times more for Thom being in that match, of them giving the history of, hey, these are some of the guys that held the title that are from Canada.
Right.
Okay, they mentioned some of them, what, Billy Whipper, and it's like, I mean, they're talking about it, and it's like, okay, if you go back and look, hey, Corino, yeah, if you didn't know, Steve Corino is Canadian. Well, his son is in the NWA, so he's a legacy. I don't know if he'll ever hold the 10 pounds of gold because, I mean, he's a little on the small side. If he had 1 or 2 more inches of height and maybe about 10 to 15 more pounds on him, he could be, I could possibly see him being a national champion, but I'm not sure about 10 pounds of gold. But it's one of these things of the history and legacy of the NWA, no matter where they go. People know about the NWA. It's just not highly publicized in the present. It all falls back on what happened in the past. And they need to get get by that. And it's just one of these things of Maple Leaf did such a good job telling about the history and the legacy of the 10 pounds of gold and what's happening now. And hey, it's anybody's game. We'll see what happens. That, I mean, I'd like to see them bring in a couple more. And I mean, they have the connections. Who knows? Maybe we could see Nattie in Maple Leaf Wrestling. She's Canadian as well.
Yep.
She has a legacy. They're doing the Dungeon 2.0, but she has a legacy. Her dad and all her family parts. Granted, it's nowhere near what it used to be, the Dungeon and all, and Stampede Wrestling. But it's all part of a story that can be told. That if you can't use the past to tell your story, you're doing something wrong.
I think you're absolutely right. And I thought much the same thing. Chris Drummond says, Stu will have a good showing. He's talking about this right here. Stu Grayson coming up next weekend. My daughter and I are headed to see this MLP Northern Rising show in Toronto. But I wonder, will they highlight the T-Pog as much as they have after they crown a new champion? They are crowning a Canadian champion that they're tying back, kind of to your point, Dave, around to the lineage of the first Canadian champion. And that out of Maple Leaf Gardens primarily, before the Tunnies years into the thing ended up going WWF. But they're tying it back to that lineage, and I think that's a good point as well. What did you think of the affair, Jeremy?
I enjoyed it. I was there with. I'm like Dave. I was surprised at how much shorter or how much smaller Thom looked compared to Dyer.
Yeah.
I didn't
6'6"?
pay. Yeah, 6'3" to 6'8".
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the former Baron Corbin in WWE. It just kind of the way that he was booked and everything was very flip floppy and just all over the fucking place. And then they gave him the money in the bank, and then they took it away from him, and just he ended up getting lost in the shuffle and everything. But I liked how aggressive he was right there at the beginning, because when they came into the ring and they were doing the introductions, and he comes out and he does the whole little stance thing in the middle of the ring, and Thom just looks at him and is like, cool. You know?
Yeah, that was
big fella. You'll be fun to fuck up, just was not impressed at all. And then there was that first shoulder block, and Thom slapped that fucking mat and then rolled out and literally slapped the mat. It was like, fuck. And it was just like, okay, this is what we're going to get. And that's the pace that they kept. It was steady. Yep. It wasn't fast. It wasn't slow. They took rest spots and they put rest holds in where it made sense. It was a very well put together match. I liked how they kept it hard hitting. The one thing that threw me off a little bit was there were moments during it that I felt like I was watching a New Japan match, because the crowd was just so silent. And I'm like, you guys aren't reacting a whole lot.
Canadian crowds are quiet, not in every city, because we're a pretty big country geographically, but in Ontario, we're one of these crowds. Yay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
out east or out in BC, they're like, let's fucking go. In Toronto, very nice. We like this. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I there was also another spot where they were trading punches back and forth, and Morrow's like, just listen, you can hear the impacts, and then there was nothing. They're just hitting each other, but there's no sounds or anything. But there was not a thigh slap in sight or anything. You know, it was kind of funny, but it was real though. You know, they weren't stomping their foot into the mat with every hit or anything like you would normally see in the WWE and such. You know, but I liked the hard hitting match, and like Dave, I want to see this one ran back. I don't care where they run it back at. In the NWA would be ideal, you know, but they should definitely run this one back. These two meshed very well together.
Yeah, I thought so too. Is dungeon wrestling still a thing? Lou says, as far as I know, it is. But I tried to look in the background. I couldn't get their page to load. I don't know if it's me or, but it's apparently still somewhere on Google. But I haven't got any news one way or the other about it. I love the respect too in the beginning. My favorite part of that match, other than that spin out slam that he does, Dyer, was when after the shoulder block, when Thom went out and slapped the apron, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because I don't think Corbin even saw it. He was looking the other way at the time. But I hope they play it back and go, oh, that was in that spot. I don't know why that looked so cool.
Yeah.
But it did. And to your point earlier, Dave, like Corbin came in with this really cool vest he's got that says like live for revenge on the back, right?
Yep.
And it's clearly the heel. And Thom came out and he's like slapping and doing, you know, punching in with little kids. And then as the match progresses, you know, Thom ends up winning this one, stealing the win by putting his feet on the second ropes. And it was a total Hogan Rock flip from that WrestleMania years ago, right?
Yep.
And look, I don't mind it happening. That's just what the crowd decided was going to happen that night, and they went along with it flawlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respected the effort. So, but you know, from a production value, MLP, this is really interesting to me as a Canadian. MLP brings Scott D'Amore and the team and the knowledge and experience and the talent that he's assembled into a geographic area that hasn't seen this level of production, I'm going to say, in Canada, ever.
Yeah.
Ever. A lot of great Canadian wrestling. No one's ever done this. And, you know, when you name something Maple Leaf Pro, you say this is a Canadian product, which, I mean, I'm just speaking holistically. It makes it regional. But we have 1/10 of your population that you guys do in the U.S., but you're essentially saying to your audience, we're a Canadian product. We're looking for Canadian involvement. Or if you're in Windsor, you got Detroit, right? If you're in Toronto, you got Buffalo, maybe the hardcore guys coming across the border. And that's amazing. But it's really interesting to me that but this much money, this much effort has been poured into a Canadian product. And I think that's, like, I'm excited for MLP in a way I haven't been excited since NWA 2019, right?
Right.
2018 or whatever. Like, I think it's going to be really good. I love the camera angles. I love the colors. That was a St. Clair College, which I've never been to, but we're going to Maple Leaf Gardens next week for this. And if they black out everything around that, there's 2,000 seats in that stadium open for them right now. 2,000 tickets. And I don't know how many are left, but that's going to look amazing and play amazing. And I hope for a lot of great things out of them.
Yeah.
So that's what that. Hey, look at this. From something that was really good to this. Let me slow it down for you for a minute.
Oh God, no! Don't get it off the fucking screen.
Yeah. Listen, NWA Chicago Men's Heavyweight Championship belt. Oh my God! I mean, you know, I'll let you guys go first. Jeremy, what do you think of this thing that you don't want to subscribe for?
Take that thing out back behind the woodshed and old Yeller it.
Yeah, wow.
This
terrible,
is 2020, not the 1920s. I said that in our Discord when I saw that. It just no.
Yeah, it has a very
bad.
No, yeah, it has a very cheap look to it.
Yeah.
I think Dave, but it's obviously like kind of Art Deco inspired, and I don't know what the lightning bolts are. It kind of reminds me of the 1920s, like radio broadcast from
RKO.
Chicago.
RKO Studios.
That's it. RKO Pictures.
RKO Studios.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think of it, Dave?
I mean, it's just, I mean, like you said, it's plain. If they'd have either, I mean, have some jewels or have some coloring to it, something to highlight it, and I mean, at least have an NWA logo.
Yeah.
Not just saying NWA. Have a logo in the center of the globe.
Yep.
Or above it, something. I mean, there's space on that title, and I mean,
There's a lot of space on that title.
To me, it looks plain. It's not really highlighting anything, and I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, I know it's quote unquote a territory per se, but I mean, that's Billy's hometown. He should have something nice. If anything, hell, have a Smashing Pumpkins logo on it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Do that. Like, I would be okay with that out of Chicago.
Yeah, there's a ton of real estate on, like you said. There's a ton of vacant space on there that they could have used. You know, it's very minimalist and it looks cheap.
It almost, in a way, reminds me of that. This is too much credit to give it, but do you remember that Queen album years ago? I want to say Metropolis or something like that.
Yeah.
I figured Dave would know. Dave knows everything about music.
Yeah.
But it's terrible, and it looks like it was made at a get your I think I said that in the Discord, something about get your fantasy football or golf championship, world's okayest golfer site, Trophy Smack. If you're doing that, you should go to trophysmack.com, partner, and there is a code. You can get that code down below in the doobly-doo if you're watching on YouTube. I forgot. Anyway, I thought it was junk. I'm going to get back to you. News of the world, Lou. News of the world. That's it. Broadcasting from Chicago. And a 5,000-watt blowtorch. Yeah. This is the title Brian Idol, Devin says, would make the world title if he becomes territory president.
And that says everything right there, Brian Idol.
Yeah, there you go. Lou said, and going back to MLP, I never understood why regional almost became a slur in wrestling. Way better than a three-road shindy claiming to have a world champion. Love MLP. Yeah.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon is why regional became a slur.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's an amusing romp down into NWA Chicago's title belt. I don't know. You guys want to talk before we go into NWA-JCE-SE? You want to talk about some of the releases? Maybe some of the folks out there do from WWE. Because I just read that. Did I even put a banner up for that? I don't think I did. There was a few that I'm not familiar with. I'm not a big WWE guy. Not like Willie Boney loves WWE. Which included a whole bunch of NXT names that I'm not familiar with, but it did include Shotzi and Dakota Kai. I was surprised not by those two being released, which is too bad. But I was surprised by the fact that Shayna Baszler got her, well, not so much her walking papers as not, maybe it was her walking papers. I actually thought she renewed in September, October or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can't make Shayna Baszler work. Like, that's a serious name to me. that you don't maybe want to hand over to maybe Mr. Khan? What do you think, Dave?
I mean, she's not quote unquote as well known as Ronda Rousey, but I mean, if you followed fighting over the last 10, 15 years, whether it be UFC or wrestling itself, I mean, there's so much that they could have done with her, and I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she gives a reality. She gives a real feel to it, being that she's wrestling, but at any time she could snap and just break somebody's arm, leg, break their eye socket, whatever.
Yeah.
That it's one of those things that she's a shooter and she's doing her best to make everything she does as real as possible without hurting somebody. And that's her along with, I mean, same thing with like Kurt Angle or anybody that has done any type of actual Olympic wrestling or collegiate wrestling.
Yeah.
They know what to do to win. And I mean, anybody that has done mixed martial arts, I mean, to be able to separate real from, I'm not going to say fake wrestling, because what they do is amazing. It's just choreographed. But be able to separate that and knowing that if you put on a figure four and actually do a figure four the way it's supposed to be done, somebody's shin is just going to be just cracked.
Yeah, she reminds me of one of those Lindsay Snow types who, like,
yeah.
You guys remember a few years ago when someone tried to get, some indie wrestler tried to get physical with Lindsay Snow, and she just kind of smoked her down and stacked her up and like put her in some kind of lock, and you try to hurt me, this is what you get. That's what I always thought Baszler was gonna be. I'm disappointed too, but I don't watch the product that she was a part of. So if it's something like Lou says, Shayna versus Deeb, well, Deeb's going to MLW, so you could see Baszler like in an MLW, and that means you could see one of these ladies end up coming down the road now or in the future to the NWA, to your local independent, of choice. And like, that's exciting. It's kind of a new day for her. But Braun Strowman's the big one, Jeremy, not only in physical size, but Braun Strowman got released by the WWE. I was surprised, but were you?
No, for two reasons. They have a Braun that can do everything that Braun was doing. That's not as big as him. That's not carrying all that weight and packing all those and stacking all those injuries up.
Right.
There towards the end of his first run, I think he was doing the train where he was running around the ring and he was just shoulder blocking opponents into oblivion. Then when he came back, he couldn't do that anymore. And then they brought Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker does that now, yeah.
And Braun Breaker can do that. And Braun Breaker can do it in half the time that Braun Strowman did it the first time that he was doing it. So they can get two of those in the same amount of time that Strowman was giving them one, which looks more spectacular for TV.
Sure. I thought there was more life left in Strowman, though, as a character. Like, I know he was lying down for Breaker and whoever else recently, but I thought it was kind of like the way that the Big Show, before he ended up, going to do nothing in AEW, was kind of, as a main eventer, former champ, and kind of lying down and putting guys over.
I think the days of the big killer monster like that in the WWF, WWE are done. Yeah. I don't think Hunter sees sees the value in him like that. That's why he was laying down for the likes of Braun Breaker. They're basically one-trick ponies in a lot of ways. You can't really put a belt on them, but you can't keep them chasing after it either for infinities. So
sure,
it's the evolution of the business, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess you're right. Do you think he goes to AEW, Dave?
I mean, if they offer him money, great. It's one of these things. I'm not sure where he's going to go. I know he used to be affiliated with Control Your Narrative.
Yeah.
So he has an in with ECW or EC3 in coming to the NWA. And I think he has enough of a name that he could possibly bounce around.
Yeah.
And over the next year, hit a couple different areas, different promotions. But I'd like to actually see him go to MLW and see him and Kruger go at it. Because both of those guys are big guys, and it doesn't have to be for a belt. It's just king of the castle.
Yeah. I just had a thought of where he could go and where probably already heard from Hogan Bischoff.
Oh God,
Yeah.
I saw that. We should have mentioned that earlier, but I completely tried to erase that out of my skull.
I did too, but it would be a perfect landing spot for him. He has the same political bents and everything as they do, and Hogan loves a big guy just like Vinny did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. What are they calling that thing again? RAF.
I don't care.
Real American Freestyle.
Oh, Leather Cheerio.
Leather Cheerio Wrestling presents. Vincent Terrell McMahon is going to announce the launch of Capital Wrestling Corporation once he settles his lawsuit.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wonder if, there is some argument to be said that the one thing Vince McMahon actually really did that just gave him everything and had everyone call him a genius can all be tracing back to the hiring and pushing of Hulk Hogan. And that everything else is just a byproduct to some degree of that. Clearly, many successes in throughout wrestling. Can't take that away from him. Hey, O.J. Simpson was a great football player. But that maybe he wasn't quite the genius everyone thought he was. It would be interesting to see if he could make lightning strike again in pro wrestling. I don't know that I would watch it. I'm with Willie. When I was a kid, though, in the 80s, Hulk Hogan was my favorite wrestler. I had no taste whatsoever, but I love that dude. Now I can just wish he'd go away.
This isn't the first time that Hogan has attempted to start his own wrestling promotion.
Not even the second.
Not even the second time. And a lot of ECW's, or not ECW, but WCW's problems. And if you look back at the worst time in TNA, Hogan and Bischoff were present, so I don't see this going very far.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's probably easier just to discard it now until something comes along. Let's go ahead and talk about NWA-JCE-SE episode 62. Joe Cazana Promotions out of the NWA. Joe, who has been here on the show. I had the absolute pleasure of joining Jay Cal and interviewing once a year or two ago. Such super nice guy. And Willie's right. He did Celebrity Championship Wrestling and
Legends of Wrestling or
Hogan.
whatever it was. And
Some of that nonsense that never goes anywhere. But NWA-JCP Southeast. We watched it for the first time around. I think it was first on our list around the territories because we did expect it to be probably the best out of the territories itself from what we were going to see. And they had audio and video problems when we watched it, so we kind of went, "Oh, like that's too bad." But I think we were coming back to this with greater expectations, and I don't know. We opened up with putting aside the Aaron Stevens, promo at the beginning, and then the Cazana and Stevens promos at the end, which I think are kind of bookend pretty much all of the Cazana shows in terms of about 25-minute offerings that they put up on YouTube. It was Rabbit Rogue versus Chris Kendrick, a newcomer who making his debut. I will give them this credit right off the bat. They put up on the screen, the production people did, that there was a problem with the audio, I guess, and that there was no commentary for this match.
It was a pre-show match, so there was no commentary period.
Great.
Yeah.
Basically a dark match.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have done some post-production, but I'm not sure how they actually produce their shows. They could have had, I mean, it would have taken 10 minutes to go in, cut some, I don't know, cut some liners, and throw it in there, here and there. It didn't have to be a full-on take of everything, just mentions here and there.
Yeah. David Valentine. Yeah, David Valentine, by the way, says NWA needs a TV contract ASAP. Hopes to go to MTV, the MTV. Interesting, yeah, interesting. They do. I agree. They need to be on cable somewhere, but nothing that we can predict has come through now. The thing I noted about this, they spelt Rabbit Rogue's name wrong, and I'm not talking about using the 3 for the E. They put the U before the G in when they were putting his name up on the screen, so it was Rabbit Rouge. But I mean, hey, everyone can make mistakes, and I'm sure it's difficult when he uses a 3 for an E, and probably it's the little things that matter to me, though. And then Chris Kendrick, who has a very much an EJ Sparks kind of look to him, super riled up, and looks like he's going to be an athletic kid. In addition, he's so fired up when he comes out, and nobody cares. Nobody cares at all. This was the crowd, because I guess it's a dark match. He's a newcomer. He's not coming out on top on this. He doesn't get any kind of reaction, and man, he tries. He tries so hard to inject energy into this show right off the bat. Unfortunately, not able to do it. Rogue ends up taking this one from him in a, I don't know, maybe it was an 8-minute, 10-minute match at most. I didn't actually time it this time around because the main event's going to take a little while for this particular show. What'd you think, Dave, on the debut of Chris Kendrick and Rabbit Rogue?
I mean, for what it wasn't bad. I was impressed seeing Rogue wrestle again, because the first time we saw him wasn't as good. I mean, he has, you can tell what type of wrestler he is. He's a heel. He doesn't play to the crowd. He mocks his opponent. And I mean, it was decent work by both guys for what the match was. But I felt that Rabbit Rogue, he worked over him big time. I mean, he ended up getting that submission move on him. And I mean, it's one of those things that they're slowly building. That he's lower card, but they're giving him a good win. They're showing how dangerous he can be. He worked the crowd well. being a heel, got the boos from them. Kendrick got the sympathy clap from the crowd. So it's like, okay, he's getting out. It's one of those things that it would have been a little bit better if there was a little play-by-play, even if it was every 20 seconds, somebody jumping in saying, hey, good move, or he takes him out, he misses, whatever.
Sure.
They could have easily worked around it, but I mean, for what it wasn't bad. It's low to mid card, so they're building up the wrestlers that they have, and then the second match was where I'm like, oh, what are they doing with this?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Bringing Carson.
Yeah, Carson Drake. Yeah.
I actually I liked it, and I was surprised that I liked it, because in the NWA I really don't like Carson Drake at all.
Oh, he fit well into this show. I thought, coming out Carson Drake and Jeremy, we see him defending the NWA television title. He's with the Troublemakers, and his manager, initially against Logan Grove, who goes down in about 1 minute, and then Drake kind of says, well, it's a 5-minute title defense. I got 4 minutes left. And the Troublemakers bring out a gentleman named Bobby Broadway, who he beats in about another 2 minutes. And then they calls anyone out of the back, and it is a gentleman named Alex Prime, who is also defeated by Carson Drake and co. Really a strong performance in a way by Carson Drake, and the way they put him over down in Southeast with 3 victories within 5 minutes.
Yep.
If I see that Carson shuffle again, I'm going to take that TV title, shine it up real good and purty, turn that sumbitch sideways, and smack him upside the fucking head with it. That is the wrestling equivalent of the fucking Carlton.
Yeah. You hate it that much.
I hate it that damn much, but at least with the Carlton, it was accompanied with fucking Tom Jones music. So I had that to look forward to.
Sure.
It's just fucking Carson Drake and his goofy little dance. But on the flip side of that, though, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. I want to knock the shit out of the kid. I fucking hate him. So bravo, kid.
Yeah. Well, Devin Dowling says he might be the one to dethrone Thom Latimer.
If he's got Aaron Williams and the Troublemakers with him, it's a possibility. But fuck, I think he'll take all 4 of them.
Yeah, listen, he looked strong.
Yeah.
He kind of has like he's the love child. I'm with Chris on this one. I think Devin might be trying to pull one over on us, but it's almost as if the Golden Boy, UWN,
Jordan Clearwater.
Jordan Clearwater. Thanks, guy. It's almost as if Jordan Clearwater had like a love child with Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver. That's what it reminds me of. Or maybe Pete Gas or something from he's annoying. He's supposed to be. It should be what it was. From a production standpoint, we don't expect them to be. They're not a studio show, and they got cameras down on the floor. They've got the hard cam set up in this school, this elementary school. It's a family friendly show. I wanted to mention Chris Kendrick out there. If anyone from JCP happens to watch, like Crossfire did last week, we thank you guys. Well, name dropping. kudos to Chris Kendrick for trying to have that energy up throughout the match, and then by going out and slapping hands, he's lost the match anyway. He's a good sport. He's a baby face. I thought that he did a good job, and I thought Carson Drake and his company did a good presentation as well. But the production wasn't terrible, and the lighting is what it is. That's the way it's going to be when you're moving around from spot to spot. It wasn't awful for me. The audio was good, which is something we've talked about as as we go around the territories. That sometimes they're broadcasting within the space. It's echoing back. We can't hear what they're saying, or someone's on the mic like Drake was. You can't hear what they're saying. That's not the case here. The commentary was good. You had Deals on commentary, who's always kind of fun. You guys see when Logan Grove came into the ring? Poor Logan Grove. All the best to you, man. I can't deal with you. Could do. He's like, oh, he's laughing. The charisma dripping off this guy. Oh man, Deals is hilarious. But the commentary was good. The sound was good. You could hear Drake on, whoever's in the back, come on out. You knew what he was saying. That type of thing. We don't necessarily like to do stars or ratings, but I do like to say if you were giving it out of a 10 anyway. What do you think, Jeremy? What would you have given? I know it's a short viewpoint of NWA-JCP, but from what the offering was, having headed back there and we got good audio and we got this what we watched, what would you give it overall?
I think I'd give it a 6.5 to a 7. Compared to what to the first offering that we reviewed. Big improvements. Again, like you said, the audio was great. We could see everything. The matches were good. 6.5, 7.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What do you think, Dave?
I'd give it about the same. Maybe I'd give it a little higher if they would have had some commentary added to the first match.
Yeah.
But I like what they did, and I know they're bookending it with Aaron Stevens on either side, that him promoting the socials at the beginning, and then him talking with Joe at the end about donations and PayPal. But if they're doing that and they actually have people donate, hey, give them a high five, put them on a screen. Hey, here's some of the people that have donated through PayPal to help JCP give you these shows for free on YouTube.
Yeah,
overall, it wasn't bad. I mean, you can always do better, but I mean, for what they're doing, I'd give it probably a 6.8.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it around the same as you guys, I think. I mean, we just get this little window of 20-minute, 30-minute stuff that, we can kind of pick apart, but always try to put the effort in. And I thought it was maybe around a 7 for me, trying to think that this was, this is the independence and the offerings are going to be what they are. So good showing. I think overall it's probably the best we've seen around the NWA territories. It at least ties anywhere that we've been, if not, jumping ahead a 0.5 rating. Dave Valentine says NWA booked the match, Carson Drake versus Spencer Slade, 2 young lions in the NWA.
Spencer Slade's no dick dancer.
Yeah. Hey, we also asked, where's bulletproof Blake Trupat? Anybody know? We're not sure.
Hopefully in an MMA gym, not in a wrestling ring.
He had such potential.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's done. Just
He disappeared. Silvio disappeared. That it's time to do a turnover. It's that season. Let's get some new folks in here and see what they can do. And I mean, nice enough guy. He never clicked. He never fit in.
He was never good in the ring.
No. He had that Steve Mongo McMichael feel without the charisma. And what I mean is that he seemed like legit. He looked like $1 million, and then he kept saying like snap, tap, or slap, or over and over and over again, and he just moved like clunkily because he needs more seasoning. That's all.
He's an MMA guy. He's not. That switch couldn't flip for him, really.
Yeah, I agree. But what else we got? Okay, all right. Mr. Positive, Mr. Happy, Chris Brown. I'm gonna take a shot at the NWA.
No,
really? Oh, we love you, Chris. Isn't it weird? All these territories and no teams have been announced for the Cup. That reminds me rather that there are 16 teams. The NWA has just announced a couple hours ago. It's going to be a 16-team tournament. That's because it's one night. I see guys in our Discord slapping their foreheads going, no, that's terrible. I disagree. I'm a 16-team, one-night guy. But that's not Chris's point. What's the point in establishing these teams that we're making around the territories if they're not going to be in it? The point I'm speaking for Chris. Sorry, Chris. The point of building a territory system is to build the NWA back into a powerhouse. That's never going to happen. I don't know, Dave. I don't know where to start. I'll start with this thing here. Chris saying, no teams have been announced for the Cup. It's going to be 16 teams only. That's going to limit what you're going to get from the territories. What do you think about that?
Well, there's a couple teams that they could throw in. It just depends on how they're wanting to do it. Because, right now you have, I'm not going to say a strong 8 in the NWA, but you have at least 8 teams that you can do that have worked within the NWA. And it's one of these things that if you're going to bring in teams from the territories, they're going to be fodder, but at least they're on a show. It gives them a chance to be highlighted in a 5 to 7 minute match, because I really don't think many of the matches until they get down to the final 4 will be more than 7 to 10 minutes.
Right.
Because timing wise, plus the entries. So you're talking, that's at least 70 to 80 minutes right there in your first round, unless you do a couple, maybe 3 or 4 pre-match highlights before you actually start the quote-unquote part of the Crockett Cup. That if you do a couple play-ins or have 2 play-in teams go against each other to see who gets, hey, we've got 15 teams, let's see who the 16th team is between these 2. But you have the Lost, which is the new one, Alex Misery and Gags and Lev all together, 3-man. There's a couple teams that aren't going to win, but if they get a win over a territory team, it helps build that team that's already in the NWA. Slime Balls, I could see them maybe winning, but I'd see like Stu Crew coming in, a couple other teams, maybe a couple from Exodus Pro. But there's not a lot of teams out there that are highlighted in the territories. So you're either going to take 2 established stars and put them together and just see what happens. That there can be a miscommunication between 2 guys that are great wrestlers. They're just not used to tagging with each other. And that's how they end up not moving on. But that's going to be a lot of matches.
15.
You'll have it.
16
15
total
matches
that night, plus the world title defense. Yeah.
And you'll have men and women's world title. You probably won't have your U.S. tag or your world tag because those guys are going to be in the Crockett Cup itself, which is tag wrestling. But then you have, if you're going to do your TV titles or a women's title, I mean, you're looking at 17, 18 matches the whole night.
Yeah.
And that's 3.5 to 4 hours right there. So you're definitely going to get your money's worth. But that's a lot of matches. And I mean, that's 5 or 6 weeks of programming.
Yeah.
2 years now.
Yeah, so Jeremy said to me earlier in the week, because I was booked to join Dave down there and see it. Dave's going in 2 weeks to the Crockett Cup, where he'll see these two gentlemen square off for the World's Heavyweight title. He'll see the debut of Alex Hammerstone in the NWA. He's going to see Nattie Neidhart. It's not Natalya, it's Nattie Neidhart. I'm sure Dave will tell us all about it in a little bit.
Yep.
Versus Kenzie Paige, and what might be the match of the night. Plus 15 matches in this tournament. And Jeremy said, well, don't worry, you'll see it when it debuts in 2027 on TV. You get the finals. I mean, I'm excited that this event is happening. I'm super sorry I'm gonna miss it, but I don't know. Like 16 teams to me, as Big Chris Dog says, Jeremy, 16 teams. No teams have been announced for the Cup. Why are we establishing these teams? You only got 2 weeks left until the Crockett Cup. Should they have announced by now? How many of these teams would you put in from the territories? What do you think?
This is something that this is a tale as old as time with the NWA, though, the current iteration of it anyways, that it's everything's always a last minute announcement, really.
Yeah.
There's really we've talked about this year after year with the Crockett Cup, with the anniversary shows. There's really no actual build from the NWA for these events, except for that last minute fucking Christmas rush. They're the last week before the 25th.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
They have so many things going for them, and at the same time, they have so many anchors that they've dug in that they allowed to hold them back.
I was, I'm excited that it's happening. I'm disappointed I'm not going to see it. I was supposed to go last year and got pulled away like the day before by work to go somewhere else. But this one seems like it's going to be an exciting event. I did very well in my Crockett Cup brackets. The last time it was on. But I got the country gentleman to take the Crockett Cup, and I'm saying that not knowing which teams are in there yet, which, as we point out, ought to be happening by now. But
yeah,
let's shift gears over to one of our favorite independents around the world, the Dave Marquez produced Championship Wrestling, and a segment we call Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
Attention, everyone.
School is in session. Oh boy, is this great!
Let me talk to you.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
Always makes me laugh too. What's happening in the world of the United Wrestling Network, Jeremy?
We had a week of it. We had a week of introductions today. It was a surprising show for me. I enjoyed it as I do every damn week. But we had a match of the week. That was first match out of the gate. Fidel Bravo. Why in the fuck was I wanting to say Fidel Castro?
That would be fun.
That would be an interesting match. But no, Fidel Bravo versus Kenny King. And this got my match of the week stamp. I flat out these two had the crowd eating out of the palm of their hands. Go watch it. A shit ton better than it had any fucking business being for the opening match, but they just knocked it out of the park. It was great. We then Kenny King came out on top, by the way, but go watch the match. Kudos to these two. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We then got a little video package of Big Mama. And she needs beer. She needs all the beer she can get. So Willie B, there's your end, bro. Just get a fuck ton of beer. And Big Mama could possibly be yours. I'm not making any guarantees or anything. She's an independent type of woman. Probably beat you out. There's your end, bro. We then get Alex Gracia, little video package, and she acknowledges her last two losses. But she vows to climb those stairs again. But she made the motion like she was climbing a ladder. But she's going to find her way back to the top. And at Coastline Clash, she will have her pink team dream, or her pink dream team along with her. And we'll learn more about them in the coming weeks.
Cool.
We then got Jack Farmer with the Wolf Zaddies. And Jack asked what's next for the Zaddies. They say there is no one there or anywhere that can take the UWN tag titles off of them, and they challenge anyone that wants to try. And this brings out Action Braxton, who last week we saw with Ice Williams, and he says he's bringing back Lights Camera Faction. And I did some research on that, and that's a faction that started back in 2020. And it consists of Action Bronson, Fresco, and Watson, who I believe were the two individuals that were present with him during this segment. Ice Williams, and Kenny King.
Oh.
But Action tells the Zaddies that now that Lights Camera Faction is back, the Zaddies won't be tag champs for long because Lights Camera Faction is there to fix everything that is wrong with the UWN. During this statement, Bad Dude Tito took his hat and turned it backwards. We've all seen Over the Top. We know what happens when the hat goes backwards.
It's like a light switch comes on, yeah.
We then get a backstage segment with producer Peter Avalon, Johnny Loquasto, and Nico Marquez. Peter and Johnny bring up the Coastline Clash, and Johnny starts to reminisce about Peter losing to Bad Dude Tito at Coastline Clash, which effectively ended his 573-day title run with the United Wrestling Network's Heritage title. Just as Johnny is about to make an announcement about the Coastline Clash, someone yells for security because of the brawl going on with Jack Farmer and Bad Dude Tito, the Wolf Zaddies, and Lights Camera Faction. And at this point, Nico Marquez just Kaiser Sozas and disappears. Johnny then tells Peter how Nico hit it big in crypto and bought his way back into the UWN. And Johnny fears that Nico is up to no good. And Peter being Peter and Nico being his bestest of besties just completely blows him off. So we shall see what happens there in the next coming weeks. We then get a match with Scorpio Sky versus Josiah John. And Josiah John was another introduction this week. John comes to the UWN via Reality of Wrestling. and his first match in the UWN is against Scorpio Sky, who brought out his old UWN entrance music, which was really cool to hear. John's been wrestling since 2023, and it showed. He was a little clunky here and there, but Sky was able to lead him through it and get him through, and they put together a decent match. Jean was able to showcase himself a little bit and held his own against Sky, who's a seasoned vet. But he's green, like I said, but the powers that be see something in him, and there is something there. He came out, he had a lot of charisma. Again, it was a little clunky, but nothing that he wasn't. It didn't freeze him up or anything. He didn't get lost anywhere in the match. So putting him in against Scorpio Sky was a smart move. Then we get another video package from the Maximilian guy. And yeah, this guy's just fucking weird. It's just weird. We then get Danny Limelight and backstage, and he's talking about his upcoming match with Ace Austin, who comes out. Ace says the last time that they met in the ring, Danny folded like everyone else does. Danny tells Ace that this isn't 2019 anymore. So we'll see what happens with that next week when we get that UWN title shot, Danny Limelight versus Ace Austin. I'm looking forward to that one.
Me too.
Since I've been watching TNA more regularly, I've gotten more familiarized again with Austin. He's good. He's good. This should be a nice melding of styles. And I'm excited for what they have in store. We then get the UWN Television Championship match, the main event of the evening, and we get our champion, Zicky Dice, versus Eye Candy Elliott. Elliott wrestled for a couple of years and then took about 4 years off and then came back. He's cocky. He's a cocky guy, full of charisma. This is the first time I've ever seen him. Interesting character. It very unique is what I wrote down. When they announced Zicky, they announced him weighing in at 233 pounds. And I love you, pal, but if you're 233, I'm 250, baby. And the crowd laughed their ass off at that. This was a unique match. At one point, Elliott was selling a spot. And by selling, I mean he was kind of dry humping the mat.
Oh.
The choices were made in this match. There was a wedgie by Zicky on Elliott at 2 points in the match. I mean, at one point, Zicky's hand was down the back of this man's tights like only a puppeteer would do.
Okay.
We got a commercial break. If you're having trouble with sore jaws, use the Brock. Never mind.
Wow.
This was a match. I typed out this was a match, and that's about all I have for it.
That's all you can say?
That's all I could type out, apparently. Zicky retained his title because, of course, he did. The Eye Candy Elliott guy again is a unique wrestler. I haven't seen him before. I'm not sure if
I gotta watch this episode.
You got to, especially this match.
I feel like I should do it when my wife goes to work. Lock the doors.
No, no, because if she comes back and forgets something, she may have questions.
Oh, okay. All right.
But we got to see the introduction of a lot of new faces this week with Ike Candy Elliott, Josiah John, with the introduction of Fresco and Watson, and the reemergence of Lights Camera Faction. So that's always good. Overall, the show was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Also, before I go, the UWN announced on Facebook that coming this fall, they will be in the great state of New York.
Right.
So
yes.
that I am very excited for. I'm so happy to announce. I can't wait to see what they've got going on. I watched the UWN this week. I did not watch Memphis again. But if you didn't watch the UWN, you're not watching the UWN. Really? Really?
Really?
Really?
Really? Understood. Jeremy's coming for you if you don't get on with it. Listen, a bunch of the comments here coming in. There's like 1 million people saying hello. Appreciate you guys doing that. That's awesome. I joined the goddamn Discord already, by the way. I put the there's 1 million people in the Discord. Don't get me wrong, we're not struggling, but it's super active. But
yeah,
I always like to pitch it.
There is conversations going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, rain or shine, holidays. It does not matter.
Sometimes there's so much. It's like you get up in the morning, you go,
oh my gosh. When do you guys sleep?
Yeah. But that's the alliance for you from all over the world. Steve G says hello to you, Jeremy, and everybody else.
James H. Jackson also agrees. I second that motion. It was a match.
It was a match. He also thought, wow, this was the best promotion he saw this week. That's interesting.
Okay.
James H. Jackson Jr., in addition to the cup matches, should I back this up? I'll get back to you, Chris, in a sec. But obviously, we're going to see Rhino versus Latimer. That's exciting. We're going to see Kenzie Paige versus Nattie Neidhart. Dave's going to talk about that in a minute. In addition to these matches, we're going to see Silas Mason taking on Alexander Hammerstone, which I did not realize before this program had been booked already. That's an exciting match. You've got a no limits. Well, yeah, a no limits match. I think is probably the hardcore equivalent for Nattie and Kylie, and then Legursky versus Briley, which makes sense right now. It's a chain match. So that's interesting. It's going to be a good card. Good Dave to put all of the pictures into the Discord. Oh, and TVMA, Tiffany, Valentina, Samantha Starr in action that night. So that'll be interesting. Steve G about the UWN. Jeremy says needs more female wrestlers. So surprised to see David's comments about it. What did I miss?
Oh, so Dave was in the chat this week. I was kind of half-assed paying attention to the chat. I was taking my notes along with the show, so I was kind of in and out. I did see where Dave said that they have plenty of female talent at the moment. Screen time is a commodity, so you got priorities are in other spots right now than highlighting all of the talent that they have available to them at the moment.
Yeah.
But great things come to those who wait. So
100%.
give it a little bit. We won't have to wait as long to see who everybody's got. We won't have to wait nowhere near as long as we would for NWA footage.
This is true. Speaking of NWA, Big Chris Dog, I didn't want to miss this one. Do you think we'll get it back to the territories like we did in June last year? So, if I remember that one correctly, that's where Plunky filled the Mid-America Championship in that event, right? I think that was about last June. I think it was that. You had Colby Carino, I think, winning a shot at the world title out of that. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be a good idea to help continue to establish the territories. It made me think, and I admit I've looked something up here. Wasn't there another territory at the time? Wasn't there one in Florida? Was it Fight the World, or was that something else? I don't know. I thought there was another territory that existed at that. Dave's nodding his head.
Yes, Fight the World. That's Ryan Idol and Markova. And that was the deal of, we're not going to make you a territory unless you give up the title.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And now I find it funny that they have him as almost their quote-unquote national promoter. But they did Fight the World with I think Boca Raton as well. They did a combo show, and it's not bad. But I mean, it's one of these things of, you got to pick and choose who you're going to use, and if this is going to be 16 teams, I mean, going down, I mean, I have maybe 12 or 13 teams that, I mean, it's one of these things that, whether it's UWN, the NWA, your territories, whatever, there's going to be people floating in and out. And like the Colognes, use them in the NWA, but they're also being used over in Impact. They're not high priority on either show, but they're a tag team that you can use to highlight either other tag teams. They don't have a lot of name value, but they do have some name value. They have the Cologne name to go on. They have their cousin and their uncle to go after and go, okay, hey, Carlos Colon, big name from back in the day. Carlitos in the WWE now. They're former WWE talents. In All Caribbean Wrestling, they're there with Mark Henry doing his thing. Mm-hmm. So it's, you pick and choose, and sometimes they float in and out. That, I mean, there's maybe 13 teams. I'd say at least 10 to 12 teams now, and then you can piece them together that they don't have to be a team full time. They just have to be a team when needed. That, I mean, right now, Tim Storm is the Baron. If he teams up with that Beretta kid, cool. They don't have to win. He can go ballistic and put the claw on somebody and get disqualified, and their team, it doesn't matter. Right. The story's been told that he's uncontrollable. So if they win or lose, no harm, no foul. But I mean, you've got the Colognes that are there. You can bring in the Stu crew. You've got Daisy Kill and Talos. You've got Blunt Force Trauma. You've got your mainstays that are there. You've got the Southern Six. But it's one of these things that you have to decide what's important. Some of these teams that you can throw together, you can maybe put Frank and Zion together since Austin Idol is now dealing with Frank, and he's no longer under the master's hand of Father James Mitchell. The Judas is now Frank, so he can be a singles wrestler, but tag him up with someone else that's in quote unquote the Austin Idol family. They don't have to win. They can implode, and then they can have a match down the line to see who has priority in being booked under Idol. So it's one of these things of you have at least 12 teams. So there's a couple other teams that you can either bring in from the territories, and I don't follow the territories that much that I know the bigger teams. I know who the Stew Crew is. But I mean, you have Size Matters, that Stackhouse, that huge guy, and Eric Smalls. They've been featured on Power here and there. You can use them. They don't have to win. They just have to make a presence known. So it's one of these things that we'll see what happens with this tag team. I was surprised that they're going 16 and not just 8. I could have seen, let's go 8 teams, that's 7 matches. Then we have all the titles.
Yep.
And then you have...
That would have been enough for me. You're going to see some double countouts, double DQs or something.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of matches, and you're going to be there in the 2300 arena for 4 hours? I don't know. Some of the stuff here, James H. Jackson, for UWN in the past years, the women would have a tournament for the UWN women's title, but understands that rebuilding meant doing it the way that they're doing it. They're going to get there. Steve G says, Willie, David, Dustin, Billy don't care about their women's division. It's just my opinion. James says, I'd rather see UWN focus on the basics, be here long term, and to try to spend, overspend on huge tournaments. They have to shut back down again and go to the vault again. Slow and steady always wins the race for me. Yeah, nothing but the best for UWN. We love that on that action. Let's move over here though. James, I agree with that. California currently loaded with talent to hurt UWN. Let's go if we can. Oh, I mean, the other Alliance guys are always looking for sponsorship. We don't have any. Gatorade Zero, I drink this probably 3 times a day. It's kind of like the ninja of sports drink, guys. It just kind of sneaks in all the hydration and electrolytes without any of the sugar. It's like having a personal hydration assistant that whispers to you, "Are you feeling all right? You look a little pale." Well, you crushed your podcasting responsibility. Anyway, this flavor is rather sweet, but it does taste like I'm sipping on unicorn tears right now. Hey, unicorn, hit me up. Unicorn Gatorade. I do drink a lot of this stuff, a lot of it. However, I am excited for this. Let's go to a segment we call I Respect You, Booker. Mr. Dave Scooby, you're going to be talking about how you would book Nattie Neidhart versus Kenzie Paige. And if I'm sure you've got this all worked out on your head, I hope I'm not throwing you off, but I'd love to hear you talk about, that what at least I think J. Cal called the shove her around the world and the promo that came out from Nattie. Over to you. Talk about it.
Well, we're talking about the current holder of the Burt, Kenzie Paige. She won the title from the great one, Camille, back at 75. August 27th of 23, she's held the belt for over 600 days. Wow. It'll be about 628 days or 30 days when she defends it. at the Crockett Cup. I like what they're doing with the storyline. That, I mean, Nattie is doing blood sport. She's doing things outside the WWE. She's Nattie Neidhart. She's not Natalya. Yep. She's the badass that is just doing her thing. She's making a statement, proving a point, and I think she's taking after her uncle Owen.
Right.
It's time for a change. And I mean, she's been in the WWE for 18 years. And I mean, she's been a constant there. And if they're not going to use her in the WWE, this is a way of using her to, number one, get use of her as a talent scout, sending her out to do these different promotions, indie events outside of the WWE to get a look at up and coming talent and talent that they can sign to the WWE ID program. So this is one of those things of, I mean, the blood sport footage from Vegas at WrestleMania 41, I mean, that started the ball rolling. And then Kenzie going in and attacking Nattie at the Dungeon 2.0 in Florida. It's one of those things of they're telling a story and they're doing it the right way. Her promo, if you've seen her promo, Nattie's promo is just like, she doesn't give a shit. She's doing her thing now. She's going in, and I mean, me, myself, I'm stoked to see this match.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to see Nattie Neidhart in the NWA. And I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing her win the Burke. Because I mean, you know Kenzie and Kylie, unless they decide to stay with the NWA, they have something bigger and better in their future. So it's one of those things that, I mean, have Nattie win the Burke at Crockett Cup, have her hold it through the summer, have her defend the belt, either with the NWA, with the NWA territories, or outside of the NWA. Have her show up in Maple Leaf and defend the NWA women's title at Maple Leaf Pro. I want to make Canada proud. I'm going to defend this title that goes all the way back in time. I'm going to make it more well known here in Canada than it is in the United States.
Right.
That it's almost a quote unquote Team Canada thing. That they can do something similar to that. Or I mean, it depending on what WWE allows her to do, I'd have her hold it through the end of the year if they can work a deal.
For sure.
Have her hold it, and I mean, like I said, have her do it's time for a change, do the Owen Hart thing. She's shown what she can do at Bloodsport. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. I mean, if they book it right, you have Nattie and Natalya. Everybody's like, oh, Markova should have the gold. Well, maybe this is a way of transitioning without her going after Kenzie again.
Mm-hmm.
Have the Paige sisters team up against the Natties, Nattie and Natalya, and then they have a breakup when Nattie takes for granted what Natalya did, that maybe one of them gets the pin and then takes all the credit. So then they end up battling, and that's a way to get the belt from Nattie to Natalya without hurting Kenzie. It does no harm to Kenzie if she loses the belt to Nattie Neidhart, who is a well-established name. but she's already had matches, and Camille had matches against Markova. They've already done that cycle. She needs to step out and then step back in and win it from somebody on the outside. They need to refresh that palette. So it's one of these things of, I'd give Markova a shot at the title, possibly win it at either 77, or if they do another Looks That Kill Signature Live event that was done last December in Dothan. They always get a good house there. Have Markova win at the Looks That Kill Signature Live event, the quote-unquote pay-per-view or event that's named after the tag team she was in with Brian Idol. So it's one of those things. She was in a cage match last year against Tiffany Nieves and won. And I mean, that was a great match in my opinion. But bring in both Nattie and Natalya, have them team up and then break up, like I said, but have them go to Crossfire to go against the Paige sisters at their home promotion. Because there, the baddies will be the Natties will be the baddies, and the Paige sisters will be the homegrown good guys. They're the good girls, even though they play the quote-unquote heels in the NWA. And I mean, I could see both of the Paige sisters going WWE ID on their radar. I'd say use them before you lose them this next year. And I mean, you can bump Kylie up into the main event picture or have them battle for a shot at the Burke. And in doing so, Kenzie goes face and wins the title as a face. Then if one or both of them get into the ID program, it's no harm, no foul. You have Natalya plus Tiffany Nieves, who you've been building up, and a couple other girls that they hopefully bring in.
Right.
A couple of them that I'd like to see that in a couple months' time will be ready for the anniversary show. I'd love to see him bring in Cora Jade, or who it used to be Elena Black, is now back to Elena Black. She was a former wrestler for Mission Pro. She has a good attitude. She's young. She's 24, 25. Bring her in. There's maybe a couple others that you could bring in. I mean, Gigi Dolan, Priscilla Kelly. She had a shot at Thunder back in the day for the Burke. She's an established wrestler. Bring her in. She can do a couple tapings. It's one of those they have to pick and choose, but they can bring in some of these people and let them work. And I mean, it's one of these things that as a national promoter of the territories, Brian Idol, he can use Markova if she does indeed win the Burke. He could use her and promote her out on the territories, go out on a territorial run defending the belt, and that brings eyes to the territory.
Yep.
Plus it gets you seeing who your next round of either quote unquote call-ups could be from the territories in the women's division. That if you don't use talent that's available from either NXT or WWE that have been released, use it from your own territories. Same thing, I mean, with your tag teams, use them in the Crockett Cup to build them up for next year at this time. I expect to see the Stu Crew in the NWA and having a shot at Crockett Cup next year, being maybe one of those top 8 teams. Slime Balls is a team that, I don't know, for some reason they're clicking with people. So it's one of those things that you have to give things a shot. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. use them as fodder until something breaks.
Right.
And when I say when something breaks, that either they flip a switch and all of a sudden everybody likes them, like probably 75% of the people like what Carson Drake is doing. I liked what he did on this week's episode, doing the TV title with the 3 different guys. It was, okay, give me another one. Give me another one. It's a storyline that he can then go back to the NWA and say, hey, what other TV champ has defended the belt 3 times within a 6-minute period?
Right.
He's changing the quote-unquote narrative of what it means to be a TV champion. I'm still not 100% on board, but I'm feeling a little more comfortable. But it's one of these things that they have to sort of keep the talent wherever they are the same. That if you're presenting Carson Drake on NWA programming as a prick, wherever he goes, he has to be that prick. It's not like back in the days of when you were in a territory. Harley Race, if he would go and wrestle in Chicago, he was a bad guy. But if he was in St. Louis or Kansas City, everybody loved him. Nowadays, you can't flip the switch and be a good guy here and a bad guy there. It sometimes depends on how the quote-unquote territory or that promotion promotes you, how the crowd responds to you. Like that, the Bishop Dyer, they were cheering him, so he was automatically the face, even though he's not a face wrestler. He's not a good guy. He was the face because you had 2 guys that just really don't give a shit of, I'm not a good guy or a bad guy, I'm just me. You let the crowd decide who they cheer for and who they boo for. Same thing with Nattie coming in. She's going to, I think it's going to be surprising of who cheers for her and who boos. That this can help Kenzie become a baby face, and down the line, if she wins the title back or if Markova wins, she can flip either way. She can be the heel, or Kylie can go against Markova and be the heel. But it's a story that's intertwined. And I mean, I see a lot of different stories coming about of either people winning by interference or playing the card of by any means necessary. Right. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just the guy or girl. I'm the person that you love to hate or hate to love.
Right.
So I'm so stoked for this upcoming match. And I mean, as much as I like Kenzie as a wrestler, I saw her wrestle her very first match in the NWA back in Atlanta when they did those first tapings. She's done a 360. She's gotten herself in shape. She's gotten over with the crowd. But something about Nattie, this isn't the WWE Nattie. This is Nattie not giving a shit.
Right.
And that's when people are the most dangerous, when they don't give a shit. She has nothing to lose but the match. She has everything to win.
Yep, and it's a great promo. I threw it in the chat for anyone who wants to see it. It's very plausible, for lack of a better word, following the shove and apparently a subsequent attack by Kenzie at Natalya's gym in the ring. but it looks good. I like the idea of it. Like, I'm not Natalya anymore. I'm Nattie Neidhart. You brought something out of me, and I kind of like it. And I don't know that I can put it away. And, you know, I like the idea of a change too, Dave. And it's nothing against Kenzie. I think she's been a great champ. And she still is a great champ. But this is just an opportunity. If the NWA can swing it, then why not do it, right? And I couldn't agree with it more. Lots of comments in the chat. Oh boy, Miranda Gordy should be in the NWA. Chris said, have you seen Miranda wrestle? The famous last name isn't a draw anymore. Miranda still wrestles. I know that she's been on the independents down in Missouri and down south in 2024, 2025. She was, I think, the WLW, like maybe the NWA WLW women's champion for a while. But I agree with Chris. Famous last name isn't necessarily a draw. I don't know if that's gonna fly anymore. Willie's like, give me Freya the Slayer. Bring back Freya the Slayer. I need more Freya the Slayer. I think this match, Dave, has the chance, like I said at the top of the show, to steal the show, and like Kenzie Camille did, and I think it would be if she's short term, good opportunity for Markova to come back. David Valentine says Markova needs to be the NWA Women's Champion now. Kenzie can concentrate on running Crossfire NWA. Well, even if it's a short reign for Nattie Neidhart, hopefully not a Rhino style reign, but something a little longer. Maybe that's something that can happen. Markova should have been a champion like a year ago. Is the NWA going to add CEP as a new territory? I don't know what that is. Either of you guys know what CEP is? Oh, Coastal, maybe? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know. You'd have to explain that one to me there. Anyway, thanks, Dave. What happened to Dak Draper? Dak Draper's put that comment up. What happened there? Oh, Jeremy's put it up here. A lot of Glory Pro and Lucha and Libre and Laugh shows. I saw him online wrestling Danhausen a couple it was a clip. So I don't know. He's not around any longer. Was he married to Quinn, what's her name, from Ring of Honor for a while? The interviewer?
Yeah.
I think he was.
Okay.
Was it Quinn what? K?
McKay.
McKay, right.
Yeah. I think so.
And, the Danhausen match that he did was at the Oriental Theater up 25 from me in Denver at the Lucha Libre and Laugh show.
Oh, he's had a couple of matches with Danhausen in the last year or two. That's awesome. Colorado Wrestling, Mile High Wrestling.
Yep. I did look up CEP is out of Long Island. It's up in New York, Championship Entertainment Productions. So it's one of those things that I think that's like Joe Cazana and a couple other guys. And I'm not sure if Homicide had anything to do with that, but I know Homicide has quote unquote retired. So any promotion that he is affiliated with, if he's not wrestling and he's promoting, I'd sign him up for NWA because he was your first junior heavyweight champion. He knows what they're looking for. So it's one of those that's almost a no-brainer that if he's not wrestling anymore and he still is either working backstage with NWA, let him do a New York promotion. And even if they're not a quote-unquote territory, if they're one of the if they're part of the farm system.
Right.
They can be an independent farm system. They don't have to actually be a territory, but they can be used as a place to highlight NWA talent and possibly use some local talent on NWA shows. And it's a win-win for everybody, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. Listen, we've gone longer than when we normally have. Before we go to the socials here and call it a night, a reminder that if you're in the Toronto area next Saturday, which is May 10th, day before Mother's Day, come over to Maple Leaf Gardens and say hello. And we'll be watching them crown a new Canadian champion from MLP. You're also going to see Thom Latimer defend the NWA Worlds Championship against Stu Grayson. Look forward to that one. The week following, as we mentioned, right, it's Crockett Cup time. It's Kenzie versus Nattie. It's it's Hillbilly versus Hammerstone. That's the main event in itself. It's Tom versus Rhino, and it's the Crockett Cup. That's exciting stuff. And that wasn't commentary from Jeremy. I was just clearing his throat. Hey, it's the Crockett Cup. Sorry, man. I'm just making fun of it. Maple Leaf Wrestling should be affiliated with the NWA. No.
Yeah. They're doing good. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yep.
That's right. Someone said that earlier, and we appreciate that. Jeremy, where can we find you on the socials?
You can find me over on Facebook at Jeremy Miller and on Blue Sky at Alliance Jeremy.
Dave, how about you?
You can find me at Dave Scooby on Instagram, Twitter X, and Blue Sky, and that's about it.
I'm at Blue Sky officially. I don't know. And that's about it. But at the Alliance blog on all of the platforms, it's like, they're all in the doobly-doo down below. Alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance and the other various independents around the world. We want to thank you guys for being, actually, before I get to that, join us every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, for the Alliance guys, the original guys, the guys we try to emulate and support in a way, steal stuff from, make it our own, and give them no credit whatsoever. No. It's Jake House, DKM, it's Jaden. They're the kings of this stuff. They've been doing it for so long. Please tune in. Please like and subscribe as well down below. Really helps Jay and the Alliance out. We're over 6,000 strong now, closing in on 7. It's looking great. Every Tuesday, Jay Cal, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. He does the pre-party before Power. Spends about an hour with us talking about it. Let's see what they're talking about just before we go. Question. Long term, will MLP stay once a few months? 2-night pay-per-view will become a weekly show. I have no idea.
With Scott D'Amore, anything is possible, I believe.
Yeah, I agree too. It can be an ally, not a member of the NWA. So that's it. Oh, we're not here next week at this time. We're here on Monday next week. It is Mother's Day next Sunday. Go spend it with your mother, or I don't know, do whatever it is you're going to do with your life. I'm not bossing you, but but I will be spending it with mine. So we're going to go Monday night next week. We'll go a little later. Same bad time, same bad channel. Guys, thank you for being here. Jeremy and Dave, always a pleasure. And the rest of you guys, see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.